1910, Coronation Hall opened with great fanfare. In 1911, it was licensed on the 11th of October to the Adelphi Picture Palace. Through 1912 to 1914, it used to run the Herbert's #1 picture show and screened every Tuesday night. In 1914, the hall was used for skating on Monday, Tuesday and Thursday nights. Between 1915 and 1920, the Phelan's Pictures operated quite successfully. By 1930, Frank Edwards purchased the property and ran it for 8 years as a picture theatre. In 1938, Frank Edwards decided to expand the seating capacity of the theatre and built a dress circle on a mezzanine floor. One of the most incredible building features was that a propeller shaft from a ship out of Sydney Harbour was used to support the dress circle. 1939 marks the grand opening of the theatre with a screening of the classic film The Charge of the Light Brigade. This year also marked the beginning of World War II, and the theatre became an integral part in keeping the community informed on the progress of the war and entertaining people in what were the war-torn years of World War II. As the war came to a close, the theatre was leased by J.E. Everett, and the films continued until 1961, when the red carpet was rolled up and the theatre finally closed its doors.
To find a place that's 100 years old to begin with, and then to coordinate the fact that we're going to actually, in June, we take over as a 1-year birthday, and to incorporate that into a 100th year celebration was just like we can't believe what a gift it was. The coincidence is just mind-boggling. Everybody from little old 100-year-old ladies have walked into this place and told us stories of how it's meant something to them in their lives.
Well, I used to come to the movies here because it was a movie theatre, and we'd be lined up all the way around the corner of the hotel, and to come into the theatre to watch our Saturday matinee movies, and they always had like Superman on as a comic, like a serial to start with, or something like that.
How much did it cost?
Threepence.
Used to be threepence to get in, and you'd have a penny to spend. And winter or summer you'd buy just a buffalo snow. That was just like an ice block in a cone.
We were at that age, you know, we used to knock around the streets and things, but one of our favourite places was here, King's Theatre.
And there was cafes either side, which was very crowded all the time.
We came over one Sunday night to swap videos or something along those lines, and it was Warren's last night here. He sold it, it was changing hands, and he had a couple of old movies laying around and said, let's put on a movie, get some takeaway from the Chinese next door, and we watched A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, wow.
Just the three of us in the theatre, all by ourselves, and it was an amazing experience.
We loved the place, it had a hell of a lot of character, but yeah, it was always very busy and had the great shows on, and while we're in here we got up to mischief too. We were just talking to Brian about how we used to throw the jaffles over the balcony, not roll them down the aisle. And
in the early days I always went upstairs because I didn't want to have anything thrown down on top of me.
You were pegging them. Yeah, you can't just roll jaffles down the aisle, you've got to throw them over the top. You've got to do a little bit of damage. No, it was great fun.
The swinging 60s were well underway, and in 1965 Mr. Dan Thompson and Warren Murnane purchased Coronation Hall and began the tireless clean-up to restore the theatre, to roll out the red carpet and once again ignite the silver screen. In 1970, Warren Murnane became sole proprietor and changed the name from Coronation Hall to King's Theatre because it was shorter. And over the next 14 years screened films such as It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, The Sound of Music, Dr. Zhivago, and Albie Mangle's World Safari 2. When VHS finally hit the scene, the theatre had to move with the times, and the foyer quickly became the local video store, and late-night movies came alive with cheap cheeky and disturbing midnight screenings with films such as Rocky Horror, Porky's Revenge, and Clockwork Orange, as well as various soft porn classics. It was 1989, and Tina Benson Inglis had a dream that she and her husband Robert would once purchase the King's Theatre and create a fabulous theatre restaurant like no other in Newcastle. And they did. King's Comedy Theatre was born. Tragically, in 1989, an earthquake measuring 5.6 on the Richter scale devastated parts of Newcastle and caused extensive damage to the King's Theatre. But this did not deter Robert and Tina from realising their dream, and they quickly worked tirelessly to rebuild once again, and the theatre breathed new life. For over 14 years they wined and dined guests and produced a variety of spectacular shows including musicals, vaudeville and cabaret. King's then continued with various operators until 2009, when Tina and Robert decided it was time to pack away the costumes, hang up their hats and hand over the keys to the King's Castle to bring you Live and Cookin' at Lizotte's.
We sleep in the morning, wake up in the afternoon. We're riding an empty out to sun.